What's up, YouTube? It's your boy. New beanie, same glasses, new hoodie. It's my work uniform, but don't worry about it. Just hear me out real quick. So, I feel like where we are as a society, we are in a bad way, man. Top down. My question is, where do we draw the line with some of this stuff? You can have your beliefs, love who you love, but at a point, where do we draw the line? And if you really look at what's going on, we're getting so close to not see, Germany or worse, we're getting close to probably being a third world country at some point within the next 50 years. I feel as though something's gonna happen. The United States of America ain't gonna be the same United States. We are in trillions of dollars in debt. They always asking me for my credit score for stuff. What is America's credit score, Just saying, good question. But I'm like, we are doing this to ourselves. And we're worried about the wrong things. And the government does that. You don't have to be a government official to see that the government is literally trying to fool you with one hand and then on the other hand doing what they really want to do. They're pushing race and stuff, but people don't realize that they're doing that to mask, let's just keep it a buck, to mask their predatory behavior that they're trying to do with children. Allowing children to be able, I know this isn't something that happens everywhere, if at all, but there are some children, like look at Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade's son. He transitioned to a girl at 11, 12 years old. It is happening. He's transitioning and he's not grown. To allow children, to hear children and say, oh, we'll transition before they've gotten the opportunity to experience certain things, I feel as though it's pedo behavior. To sit there and allow children to do things to themselves that would affect them sexually. It basically sterilizes them because it's an adverse effect. It's one of those things where it happens adversely. So you can't say it happens directly, but as a result of getting it, there's a correlation. Children are sterilized. And to sit there and destroy these poor children's lives, all for what? Because they feel a certain way. I've only been a parent for a year, so these are conversations that I won't have to have. But one day my daughter came to me and said, oh, I feel like I want to be a boy. It's not my job to sit there and try to make the avenues to make her feel comfortable as a boy. My job as a father is to give her the confidence to understand who she really is. So with that being said, she can love who she wants to love, because that's a little bit different than saying, oh, I want to be something that I can never be. A man can never be a woman, and a woman can never be a man. I can't believe that that's not common sense, but for some reason, that needs to be said. And again, there needs to be a line drawn somewhere, because it's very ignorant to sit there and say that a man could be a woman and a woman could be a man. We have these separations for a reason. There are certain biological things that separate men and that separate women. Man can't give birth. Anybody who's given birth is a biological woman. You learn that literally in elementary. Why are we sitting there now as a third grader, or however old you learn it, third, fifth, whatever. Just think about it as a child real quick. I just learned in school that women give birth. You learn the basic in fifth grade, either third or fifth grade. Women give birth, babies come from women, and things like that. They give you some of the parts, and I believe there's a chart for, they show you things about fifth grade. I'm a little rusty because, I ain't been to school in a while. Well, I believe it's about fifth grade. They separate, the kids, and they go. So you learning that in fifth grade. And you get on TikTok and you see some man with a beard who popped up. He's pregnant. How confused, literally, naturally confused to see something like that. Me as a 27-year-old, I'm like, wow. So imagine a 9, 10, 11-year-old child who is literally, things based off of the internet already, but then you have to learn it the correct way, the biological way. And then you go and you see, like I said, bearded people, that are pregnant. Bearded people that are giving birth. How confusing is, again, where do we draw the line? Why can't we say this is a woman who wants to be a man who can give birth? There needs to be some sort of line drawn. We will never see that a man will be a woman and a woman will be a man. And that's just about the birth part. Now, if we go over to trans women who are biological men, I'm still making sure I got that right, because, sometimes it's like rocket science to remember. But when we go to that aspect, again, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be something. I wanted to play in the NFL. I'll never play in the NFL. I'll never have the measurables, and I'm a little bit late to get into that part. You have to accept some things you'll never get. You'll never be. We're in a society where that's not the case in most situations. Well, it is the case in most situations, but in the most important situations, it's not the case. Like internal things that we want us to feel good, typically they are going to make us feel good. But it's like, maybe a job or something like that, whatever. Depending on the job, you'll have to work for that still. I'm glad there's a line drawn with certain things, because there's a certain level that you have to keep in order for you to be able to get to a point where you're like, okay, this is our standard. So in order for you to uphold the standard, there's expectations of who you're bringing into, yes, uphold your standard. So you're not going to bring in somebody you feel like's not equipped. However, as it pertains to being a woman or a man, at a point, I feel as though women need to do better speaking out. Because a woman will never be a man in any aspect. I mean, even if you really look at it, a powerlifting woman can really go but so far with with a regular man. You may be able to be a powerlifter, but that just means you're lifting a little bit heavier than other women, or a lot heavier than the average woman. Depending on how much of a powerlifter you are, you ain't outlifting the average man. And that's because men are supposed to be the protector. You can sit there and say, oh, as a woman, all I need is a gun, da 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 da. Okay. In America, we're allowed these avenues in order for women to be able to make these decisions because of the technology and things of that nature. However, once we become a third world country, all of this feminist shit is going to go out the window. Oh, I can do this by myself. I don't need no man. Only because America, which is made by men, has allotted for us to be able to have our women make these kind of decisions, and then nothing really come from it. Because at the end of the day, man needs a woman and woman needs a man. Period. End of story. And if you look at other countries, that especially the ones that are flourishing, there's families, and families with kids, several kids. China, those families have a lot of kids, and they have a more tight-knit unit. They respect the grandparents, although the grandparents ain't over there shaking their behind and going to clubs and drinking like they are over here. So it is more respectable. But there's more of a standard over in, those countries like China and India. We compare ourselves to Sweden and things like that. But if we're looking at it, there's more family and there's more tight-knit over there. We'll never be another type of country. We are America, which is comprised of many different cultures. So we can sit there and try to compare all we want. We are basically the mutt of the world. To sit there and try to compare it to those places that are a little bit more advanced like us, we'll never be Sweden. We're way bigger, we have way more people, and we have way more cultures. We'll never be Ireland and those countries that, have free health care and stuff like that. We'll never be those countries. But I wake up every day like, what are we gonna do? How are we going to function? What's gonna happen to our children once we are no longer able to function like we've been? And there needs to be a line drawn somewhere. I don't know. But until next time, I'm gonna holler at you. All right, peace.